I hope you are all doing good. Welcome back. So I hope you are enjoying the this revision lectures. I hope you are enjoying. If you have any questions with respect to this revision lectures, etc., you can just send me a message on my number. My number is 962002 So I'll try to reply your messages as soon as possible. So yeah, so let us discuss our next topic. So this topic is a beautiful topic, important topic for this examination, time of supply, composition scheme, as well as this topic specifically. They have not asked any questions in your May 23 examination and in November 22 examination for CA intermediate students. So this topics becomes a little important because they have not asked question, and normally they ask question either from this topic or from value of supply. They ask question. So yeah, because of that reason, for this attempt it will be an important topic. The name of the topic is what's the time of supply, and this topic does not have any amendments. Actually speaking, right from the beginning of the GST law, only one change was made in this entire topic, time of supply. Apart from that, there was no amendment or no changes made in this chapter. And that one change which was made, that was made during the initial period only, right after 3 months of start of GST. So yeah, let me straight away start my discussion on this topic called as time of supply. We all know that we have to pay the tax whenever there is a supply. So we understood the meaning of supply under section 7. Section 7 told us supply of goods, a taxable event under GST law is supply of goods or services. Then section 9 told us what type of tax I should pay. If you are making intrastate supply, you should pay CGST, SGST. Now section 15, in section 9 we studied that section 15 will tell you on what amount should I pay GST, value of supply. Now this section 12 and section 13 which is there, no, that is going to tell you that, see, I know that you have to pay the taxes. You have made a supply, I know that you have to pay the taxes, and I also came to know whether it is interstate supply or intrastate supply, meaning I also came to know whether it is CGST, SGST which I have to pay or IGST which I have to pay. Now the question is, when should I pay these taxes? I should pay the taxes to the government, but when should I pay these taxes to the government? That answer will be given by section 12 and section 13. Section 12 talks about time of supply of goods, and section 13 talks about time of supply of services. Sir, what do you mean by time of supply? Sir, time of supply basically means the point in time when the supply actually happened. We have to pay taxes whenever there is a supply of goods or services. So at what point in time the supply actually happened, that point in time I will have to pay the taxes to the government. Meaning, in simple words, if I want to tell this point to you, say whenever there is any supply of goods or services, any type, whether it is supply of goods or services, there are different activities which is going to happen. So there will be a date when you will place the order, then there will be a date when the order will be prepared for you, then packing will happen, the goods will be dispatched, invoice will be given, then it will be delivered to you, you will receive the goods, and finally the payment is made. So there are different point in times, there are different activities happening at different point in time. At what point in time should I pay the taxes to the government? That will depend upon the time of supply. At when did the time of supply happen? So there are so many different series of events. At which particular event did supply happen? That event is going to tell me what is the time of supply. At which particular time the supply happened, at which particular time the supply happened, that is important because that is only going to tell me what when should I pay the payment of taxes to the government. Now to understand this chapter, time of supply chapter, it is very important to understand when you are required to issue invoice in case of goods and services. When the invoice is required to be issued in case of goods and services. So when should I issue an invoice in case of goods? And in case of goods there are totally 4 different scenarios. Case number 1, scenario number 1, the supply which you are making, involves movement in goods. Whatever supply you are making, that involves movement in goods. So if the supply which you are making involves movement in goods, invoice is required to be issued. Please note, the time limit to issue invoice is given under section 31. So first point we are discussing about what, sir? Supply involves movement in goods. So whenever there is a supply which involves movement in goods, in such cases the invoice is required to be issued on or before removal of such goods. Whenever there is a case of supply involving movement in goods, when should you issue the invoice? On or before removal of such goods. If the supply which you are making does not involve any movement in goods, the invoice is required to be issued on or before delivery of such goods. Supply does not involve movement on or before delivery. And if it is a case of continuous supply of goods, so if goods are supplied by you on continuous basis or to you on continuous basis or on recurrent basis, then the invoice is required to be issued either on successive payment date or on successive statement date, whichever is earlier. Successive payment date or successive statement date, whichever is earlier. And if it is a case of sale on approval basis, if it is a case of sale on approval basis, invoice is required to be issued on the date when the approval is received or 6 months from the date of removal of such goods, whichever is earlier. However, in case of services, there are only two scenarios. One is normal cases and one is continuous supply of services. Normally, in case of services, the invoice is required to be issued on or before completion or within 30 days from the date of completion. On the date when the services are provided by you, the services are completed by you, provided by you, or any time before that date, issue the invoice, or within 30 days from the date of completion. From the date when the completion has happened, within 30 days from that date. Now this 30 days will be replaced by 45 days if you, in case of banking company, financial institution, etc. Then in case of continuous supply of services, very important, continuous supply of services, three scenarios may be possible. Now the due date, there, see, in case of continuous supply of services, what will happen? The services are provided to you on continuous basis or on recurrent basis over a period of time. So what are the different possibilities? The supplier and the recipient may agree some a few things between them. So they may agree that there will be a contract between them. By that contract, the due date of payment will be ascertainable. By seeing that contract, we can tell, okay, what is the due date on which the payment is required to be made. If the due date is ascertainable, if the due date of payment is ascertainable, then on or before that date, invoice is required to be issued on or before that particular date. If the due date of payment is not ascertainable from the contract which is agreed between the supplier and the recipient, then on or before the date of receipt of payment. So basically, if the payment date is agreed on or before the date when the payment is required to be made, you should issue the invoice. If payment date is not agreed, then on or before the date on which you are required to you have received the payment, on or before the date of receipt of payment, you should issue the invoice. Sometimes the payment may be linked to completion. Say you complete first floor, give some, I'll give some payment, then second floor I'll give some payment, third floor I'll give some payment. In such cases, time of supply will be on or before completion. It shall be the due date to issue invoice will be on or before completion. So now let us see what is the time of supply. Okay, this was a base which is required for understanding this chapter. Now let us see what is time of supply. Section 12 talks about time of supply of goods. If you want to know in case of goods when you are liable to pay the taxes, then you will have to check the time of supply, which will be determined as per section 12. Section 12 subsection 1 says the liability to pay tax in case of supply of goods. Why do we learn this time of supply, sir? Because if you want to know the liability, the date when you are liable to pay, the liability to pay tax in case of supply of goods shall be the time of supply as determined under section 12. If you want to know when you are liable to pay tax in case of supply of goods, then no issues, no problem. Then please go to section 12, that will tell you when you are liable to pay the taxes in case of supply of in case there is a supply of goods which is made by you. Then section 12 subsection 2. Section 12 subsection 1 basically is not so important. 12.2 talks about forward charge. In case of forward charge means I supply, I pay, correct? The supplier of goods or services is required to make the payment of taxes to the government. In case of forward charge, check whether the invoice has been issued by you within the due date specified under section 31 or invoice is not issued by you within the due date specified under section 31. If the invoice has been issued by you within the due date specified under section 31, then the time of supply will be the date of invoice or the date of payment, whichever is earlier. If the invoice has been issued within the due date specified under section 31, date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. But if the invoice has not been issued within the due date specified under section 31, then the last date to issue invoice or the date of payment, whichever is earlier, shall be taken as time of supply. If invoice has been issued within the due date, meaning the due date of issue of invoice just now we saw. So if the invoice is issued within that particular time limit, then date of the time of supply will be date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. But if the invoice is not issued within the due date, then what is the last date within which the invoice is required to be issued, or date of payment, whichever is earlier, will be taken as time of supply. Sir, what do you mean by date of payment, sir? Date of payment basically means the date on which the entry has been made in your books of accounts that the payment has been received, or the date on which the amount is getting credited in the bank account, whichever is earlier. In simple words, it is the book entry date, the date on which you are making an entry in your books of accounts that the payment has been received, or bank credit date, the date on which the amount is getting credited to the bank account, whichever is earlier, will be taken as date of payment. Now there is this proviso which has no relevance under goods because of this notification. So I am not discussing that proviso, you can also ignore that proviso, but it is important for services. Now what is this notification? A notification was introduced, notification number 66/2017, very important notification. This notification number 66/2017 says if you receive any money before making the supply, basically if you receive any advance before the supply has been made by you, then the date of receipt of this money or the date of receipt of this amount shall not be treated as time of supply. The advance received in respect of supply of goods shall not be liable to be taxed at the time of receipt. In simple words, the date of payment will never become time of supply in case of supply of goods. So see, normally what is the time of supply? Date of invoice or date of payment. So if the payment is earlier, then it cannot become time of supply. If the invoice is not issued within the due date, last date to issue invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier, if the payment is earlier, it cannot become time of supply. Who is telling this, sir? Notification number 66/2017. Please note, this notification is applicable only in case of goods. It is not applicable for services. It is applicable only in case of goods. It says if you receive any money before making the supply, as simple as that. If you receive any money before the supply has been made by you, then the date of receipt of such money will not be taken as time of supply. It is applicable only in case of goods. Then in case of revert charge, section 12 subsection 3, in case of revert charge, what is the time of supply, sir? Date of receipt of goods. The date revert charge means the recipient of the goods or services has to pay the payment of taxes. The date of receipt of such goods, or the date of making the payment. So the date when you have received the goods, or the date when the payment is made by you to the supplier, or 31st date from the date of supplier invoice, 31st date from the date of supplier invoice or any other document issued by him, whichever is earlier. Compare these three things: date of receipt of goods, date of making the payment, or 31 days from the date of supplier invoice. Compare these three dates, and whichever is earlier, that date will be taken as time of supply. Section 12 subsection 4, in case of vouchers, what will happen, sir? In case of vouchers, so there are possibility that the supply of goods is made by you based on the vouchers, or there are possibility that the voucher is given to you and based on that voucher you are going to purchase the products. So vouchers, in case of vouchers, what is the time of supply, sir? Check whether the the voucher which is given to you is a supply identifiable voucher or it is a supply not identifiable voucher. If the voucher which is given to you is a supply identifiable voucher, then the time of supply will be date of issue of voucher or date of issue of voucher if it is supply identifiable voucher. If it is supply not identifiable voucher, the time of supply will be the date of redemption of voucher. Meaning by voucher, if the voucher specifically says you that you can, Mr. Dilip, you can go purchase only, say for example, I gave you a 5,000 rupees voucher of Puma. I gave 5,000 rupees of Puma. I say you, Mr. Dilip, you can go and purchase only Puma shoes. In this case, it is a supply identifiable voucher. What is the time of supply? Date of voucher, issue of voucher. But if I say, Mr. Dilip, I gave you 5,000 rupees voucher of Puma, I am not specifying anything. So you can purchase anything. You can purchase a Puma shoe, you can purchase shorts, you can purchase a bag, you can purchase football, anything which you want. Then it is called as supply not identifiable voucher. If it is a supply not identifiable voucher, time of supply will be the date of redemption of that voucher. Then residual cases, section 12 subsection 5. Say you are not able to determine the time of supply as per section 12 subsection 2. You are not able to determine is as per section 12 subsection 3, as per section 12 subsection 4. So meaning if you are not able to determine the time of supply as per any of the above provisions, then I will come to the residual case. The residual case says, are you a person who is liable to file the returns? Are you a person who is liable to file the returns? Yes, sir. Then the time of supply will be due date of filing such return. Then the due date of filing such return will be taken as time of supply. But if you are not a person who is liable to file the return, basically if you are not a registered person, then for you the date when you are making the payment of taxes to the government, that date will be taken as time of supply. Then some cases, section 15 subsection 2 clause D says, if you receive any interest, penalty, late fee for delayed payment of consideration, then that interest, penalty, late fee shall be added in value of supply. So you have made a supply, and there was some terms which is agreed between you and the recipient telling that you should make the payment within say 30 days. Now the payment is not made within 30 days, you are charging some interest from him, you are collecting some penalty from him. In such cases, for this interest, penalty, late fee for delayed payment of consideration, the time of supply will be what, sir? The date when you are receiving such particular amount. So this is in respect of goods. And what is the time of supply in case of services, sir? The time of supply in case of services, section 13 subsection 1 says the liability to pay tax in case of supply of services shall be the time of supply as determined under section 13. So if you want to know when you are liable to pay tax in case of supply of services, then please go ask section 13. Section 13 is going to tell you. Section 13 subsection 2 talks about forward charge. In case of forward charge, what is the time of supply, sir? In case of forward charge, the time of supply will be check whether the invoice has been issued within the due date or invoice is not issued within the due date. If the invoice has been issued within the due date, the time of supply will be the date of invoice or the date of payment, whichever is earlier. If the invoice has been issued within the due date, time of supply will be what, sir? Date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. But however, if the invoice has not been issued within the due date, if the invoice is not issued within the due date specified under section 31, then the time of supply will be the date of completion or the date of payment, whichever is earlier. Sir, what is date of payment? Same, the date on which entry is made in books of accounts that the payment is received, or the date on which the amount is getting credited to the bank account, whichever is earlier. Now here, instead of last day to issue invoice, here they have taken which dates are date of completion. In case of services, see, basically goods, first point is same, but second point over here they have taken what, sir? They have taken last day to issue invoice, but here what they have taken? Date of completion. Now here this proviso is applicable. So what is this proviso telling? This proviso says if the supplier receives any extra amount, if the supplier receives any amount in excess of the invoice value. So for example, if you would have paid your telephone bills or electricity bills, etc., you would have, sometimes if the invoice value is say 1642 rupees, you would have paid 1650 rupees, and he says that there is no change, or you would have paid 1700 rupees and you have made an excess payment of what, sir? You have made an excess payment of 58 rupees. He says that, sir, I don't have any change. So what will you tell? Okay, no issues, adjust in the next invoice. So in case the supplier receives any amount in excess up to rupees 1000 in excess of the invoice value, so whatever invoice is issued by him, 1642, on and above this amount, if you receive any excess, if the supplier receives any extra amount, then for that extra amount the time of supply will be what, sir? For that extra amount the time of supply will be the date on which the invoice is issued for that extra amount. Normally, see, normally if you receive any amount before the supply is made to you, then the time of supply will be date of receipt of such money. But if that amount which is received by you is up to rupees 1000, for that the supplier will have an option to take the time of supply for that extra amount to be the date of issue of such invoice. Then in case of revert charge, very important, revert charge services, what is the time of supply, sir? Date of making the payment or 61 days from the date of supplier invoice or any other document issued by him, whichever is earlier. So the date on which the payment is made, or 61 days from the date of supplier invoice, whichever is earlier. Please note, when you see your material, institute material, they have written it as the date following 60 days from the date of supplier invoice or any other document issued by him. The date following 60 days is nothing but 61st day. And if you are receiving services from associated enterprises, see, normally in case of importation of services, the recipient will have to pay the taxes. Under revert charge, the recipient will have to pay the taxes. So whenever you are receiving any services from your associated enterprises, your own branch located outside India, you being the recipient, you will have to pay the taxes. Now what is that, when should I pay the taxes, sir? Date of making the payment to your associated enterprises or date of passing an entry in your books of accounts, whichever is earlier. Then in case of vouchers, residual case and interest penalty, it is same as goods. So in case of vouchers, the time of supply will be, if it is a supply identifiable voucher, date of issue of voucher, supply not identifiable voucher, date of redemption of voucher. In case of residual cases, are you a person liable to file returns? Yes, sir. Due date of filing returns. In all other cases, it is the date of making the payment of taxes. In case of interest penalty, late fee for delayed payment of consideration, the date of receipt of such amount. So this is basically the time of supply in case of goods. So these are the different points in case of time of supply in case of goods as well as time of supply in case of services. Very important point to note that this notification number 66/2017 is applicable only for goods. It is not applicable for services. Now let us see some questions. And in this chapter there is no amendment at all of any kind. Let us see some question, but yeah, I feel that this chapter is important for this examination, November examination, because it has not been asked in the previous attempts. Okay, time of supply. Now what, explain the significance of time of supply. What is the significance of time of supply, sir? What happens by why do we have to learn about time of supply? Because we know that supply of goods or services you have to pay GST. Now the time of supply will tell you what point in the time the supply happened, so that you will be able to determine the liability and accordingly pay the taxes. And section 12 and section 13 talks about time of supply. Now there is a question, okay, forward chart time of supply. Chiku traders is, I will tell you one point. If you get a question on time of supply in your examination, then that means you can definitely get full marks in that question, because the question only will be having the answer. You just have to select the right answer. So make sure that you don't ignore this topic, because this question which you are going to read, no, that will only be having the answer. So make sure that you do the proper correction, you check the question carefully before writing, and you remember the provision. To answer this question, beautiful step is write the provision and then write the answer. The provision can be written in this way only, the way it is written in chart material. Sir, can I write in this format? Yes, definitely you can write. So if we write this, how does it look, sir? It will look like this. So time of supply of goods in case of forward charge, invoice issued within the due date, date of invoice or date of payment whichever is earlier. In case of reverse charge, last day to issue invoice or date of payment whichever is earlier, if invoice is not issued within the due date. Okay, Chiku Traders is registered supplier of plastic goods. On 10th April, Chiku Traders received an order from Nilu Traders. So date of receipt of order is of no use. Chiku Traders get the consignment ready by 15th of April, and the invoice for the consignment was issued the next day, that is on 16th of April. So the invoice was issued. Date of invoice is what, sir? 16th of April. Nilu Traders collects the goods from the godown of Chiku Traders on 25th of April. So date of removal, so he collects the goods means that date the goods have gone out of the Chiku Traders. So when did it go out? 25th of April, and hands over the check towards the payment on same day. The said payment is entered in the books of accounts of Chiku Traders on 26th April, and the amount got credited in the bank account on 27th April. So date of payment is the book entry date, or that date on which the amount is getting credited to the bank account, whichever is earlier. So here the date of payment is what, sir? 26th of April. Now this information you should write and accordingly apply which provision. Check whether the invoice has been issued within the due date or not. Invoice is required to be issued on or before this particular date, 25th of April. Has it been issued within the due date? Answer is yes. So what is the time of supply? The time of supply will be the date of invoice or the date of payment, whichever is earlier. Who is earlier? Date of invoice is earlier, therefore time of supply is 16th April. Then in case of next question, meal coupons are sold to company on 9th August for being distributed to employees of the said company. The coupon are valid for 6 months and can be used for purchase of food items. The employees uses them in various stores for purchase of various edible items on different dates throughout the period of 6 months. What is the date of supply of this coupon? What is the date of supply in the sense what is the time of supply in a case of these coupons. Now see, by seeing this question, what I can understand is that there is a company which gave the coupon. On which date it gave the coupon, sir? It gave the coupon on 9th of September. Now what is the time of supply in case of coupons? In case of coupons, if it is supply identifiable, date of issue of coupons, and if it is supply not identifiable, then date of redemption of coupon. Now is it a case of supply identifiable voucher? In case of vouchers, is it a case of supply identifiable? No sir. Why no? Because sir, they say that you can purchase anything. They have purchased various edible items. So various edible items means they are purchasing different things. So if you can purchase different things, then what is the time of supply, sir? The time of supply will be date of redemption. So whenever you are going and purchasing, that date it will be taken as time of supply. Then time of supply of services. Radu received an order and advance payment of 5th of January for carrying out architectural design job. He delivers the design on 23rd of April. By oversight, no invoice is issued at that time, and it is issued much later after expiry of the time period for issuing invoice. What is the time of supply? Very simple. Now theoretical question they have asked. So there is a company called as Raju Limited which is providing architectural services. So and it has received some order and advance money on 15th of January. Now because of some reason they have given the services on 23rd of April. Because of some reason they could not issue the invoice. So what is the time of supply? If the invoice is not issued within the due date, then the time of supply will be the date of completion or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Date of completion is what, sir? 23rd of April, and date of payment is what, sir? 5th of January. So here 5th of January will be taken as time of supply. XYZ and company, a firm of chartered accountant, issued invoices for services rendered to Mr. A on 7th. So date of completion is 7th of September. Okay, so this is the date when the services were reviewed. Okay, this is the date of issue of invoice, sorry. So this is the date of issue of invoice. Determine the time of supply in independent cases. So the date of invoice is what? 7th of September. Provision of services was completed on 1st of August and payment was received on 28th of August. So payment now is the services was completed on 1st of August. So in case, is the invoice issued within the due date? Not issued within the due date. Why, sir? It should be issued either on 1st of August, anytime before 1st of August, or within 30 days from 1st of August. Is it issued within the due date? Answer is no. So time of supply will be 1st of August or 28th of September, whichever is earlier, which will be 1st of August. Provision of services completed on 14th of August and the payment was received on 28th of September. Now is the invoice issued within the due date? Within 30 days from 14th of August you can issue the invoice. The invoice is issued by 7th of September, which is within the due date. So what is the time of supply, sir? 7th of September or 28th of September, whichever is earlier. So for second case it will be 7th of September. Mr. A made the payment on 3rd August. However, the provision of the services was remaining to be completed at that time. So payment is made but the services were not provided. No issues. Date of invoice or date of payment? Date of invoice, because invoice has been issued. Date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Who is early? Date of payment is early. So here date of payment, that is equal to 3rd of August, will be the time of supply. Mr. A made the payment on 5th September. However, provision of services was remaining to be completed at that time. So payment was made on 5th of September, but this provision was remaining to be completed. Services were not provided. So in this case, date of invoice is early because invoice was issued on 7th of September. That is the time of supply. Very simple question. Now here next question. Time of supply in case when you receive any advance. In case of goods, advance is not taxable, meaning that date cannot be taken as time of supply, but in case of services it is taxable. So 8th September community hall was booked for marriage and 1,20,000 was agreed. Advance of 20,000 was recorded in the books of accounts. So 8th of September you have received 20,000 as advance. So date of payment is 20,000 is 8th of September. Advance was credited in the bank account, not required. 2nd of September marriage was held in the community hall. So date of completion is what, sir? 2nd of November, sorry. 18th of December invoice was issued for 1,20,000 in the balance indicating the balance payable. So date of invoice is what, sir? Date of invoice is 18th of December. 18th of December the balance amount was, sorry, invoice was issued and the balance amount were recorded in the books of accounts on 22nd of December, and it was credited in the bank account 24th of December. So date of payment in both the cases will be whichever is earlier, which is 22nd of December for rupees 1 lakh. See, for 1 lakh, the total agreed value was 1,20,000. For 1 lakh, that date of payment will be 22nd of December, and for 20,000, the date of payment will be 8th of September. So what is the time of supply? Time of supply is simple, sir. Date of, is the invoice issued within the due date? No. Invoice is required to be issued on completion, before completion, or within 30 days of completion. Is issued after 30 days of completion. So the time of supply will be date of completion, which is 2nd November, or date of payment. Date of payment, two different dates, 8th of September and 22nd December. So time of supply will be what, sir? For 20,000 rupees, it is 8th of September, and for balance 1 lakh rupees, it is which date? For balance 1 lakh rupees, it is 2nd of November. Okay, question number 7, time of supply of services, RCM. A firm of advocate issues invoices for services to ABC Limited on 17th February, the payment is constituted by ABC Limited on the ground that on the account of negligence of the firm, the company's case was dismissed by the court for non-appearance, which necessitated further appearance, for which the firm is billing the company. The dispute drags, and finally the payment is made on 3rd of November. Identify the time of supply. Beautiful. So the company has, see, there is a company called as ABC Limited which has taken services from advocate. So in case you take services from an advocate, that means advocate giving legal services to a business entity. Please note, the question nowhere told that it is liable to be taxed under reverse charge. Only by seeing that there is legal services, there is an advocate, and there is a business entity, we should understand that it is a case of reverse charge. So in case of reverse charge, who has to pay the taxes? The business entity has to pay the tax under reverse charge. What is the time of supply? Time of supply will be date of making the payment, or 61 days from the date of supplier invoice, whichever is earlier. So now the date of invoice given by the supplier was 17th of February. So they have not made the payment. They made the payment on which date, sir? The payment was made on 3rd of November. What is the time of supply? So in this case, I will add 61 days to this date. So 18th, from 18th I will count how many days are there in 18, 19, 28 February. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 28, meaning 11 days of this February month, 31 days of March month, so it comes to 42 days. I should add how many days more, sir? 19 more days, so it comes to 19th of April. So what is the time of supply, sir? 19th of April is time of supply. 19th of April or 3rd of November, whichever is earlier, which is 19th of April. Time of supply in case of reverse charge. So this is with respect to reverse charge. So similar question which we have just now seen. So it is just a similar question. Your ICI material questions. These questions are all ICI material questions. Sahu Limited supplied taxable services on this date, issued invoice, payment was made on this, check was recorded. Anyway, simple question on time of supply of services. So he provided date of completion is 11th of November, date of invoice is 21st of November. It is within the due date. So date of payment I will check. Date of payment is this date, or date whichever is earlier. Date of payment is 16th of November. So who is earlier, sir? Compare them. 16th of November is earlier. 16th of November will become time of supply. Very simple question. This is a simple question. And associated enterprises, importation of services, what will be the time of supply, sir? The date on which the debit is made in the books of accounts, or the date on which the payment is made, debit in books of accounts, invoice. Date on which the debit is made, or the date of making the payment, whichever is earlier. Who is early in this case? 30th September is earlier. This is a small question which you can just try it out. Please note, this material will be uploaded in that Telegram channel, you can just download it from there, you can just check. Let us see some past question. I am ignoring this chota small questions because let us see some past examination question. That is something which is important. Royal Sweet Company Delhi, a registered supplier, has furnished the details of following transactions in the month of November 2022. Okay, November 2023. 11th November 23, payment made to an advocate. So payment made to an advocate, that means this is a case of reverse charge. So invoice date is 7th of July 23, amount is 1,25,000. So in this case, obviously it is taxable under reverse charge. So invoice date is 7th of July. In July month, how many days are left? So 7th. So 24 days in July plus. So I have to calculate. This is a case of reverse charge. In case of reverse charge, what is the time of supply? Date of making the payment or 61 days. So date of making the payment, they have told 11th of November. 61 days I am calculating. 24 days of July, 31 days of August. So how many days are over? Plus 31, 55 days plus 6 days. So plus 6 days, which is equal to what, sir? 6th of September. Time of supply in the first case is 6th of September. Sir, how did you get the 6th of September? 61 days from the date of supplier invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Date of 61 days is earlier, therefore 61 days. Paid sitting fees to director from Haryana for meeting held in Delhi. Meeting was held on 15th of October. So this is the invoice date. So when did he made the payment? 20th of November. So from this date, 61 days, if I calculate, it will come to December period. So time of supply will be 20th of November. Explain the term date of receipt of goods. This question was asked once in examination. What is date of receipt of payment, sir? It is the date on which entry has been made in the books of accounts or the date on which the amount is getting credited to the bank account, whichever is earlier. Mehak Sons is a registered supplier of electronic items and pays GST under regular scheme. On 15th July 2023, Mehak Sons received an order from Sundar Trader for supply of consignment of electronic items. Mehak Sons gets the consignment ready by this date. The invoice of the consignment was issued on the next date. I think this is related to the Chiku question which we have done. So I'm just ignoring this question, you can solve it. Munch and Once Trading Company, a registered supplier, is liable to pay GST under forward charge. Determine the time of supply. If the goods are supplied on this date, date of, in case of goods, so date of removal, date of invoice and date of payment. So is the invoice issued within the due date? No. So date of removal or date of payment, whichever is earlier, so it will be 3rd November. Mr. Lakhan provides continuous supply of services to TNB Limited. He furnishes the following information: date of commencement of providing continuous supply of services, date of completion of continuous supply of services, and then date of receipt of payment is on 30th March. Determine the time of supply. Time of supply in case of continuous supply of services is what, sir? If the due date of payment is ascertainable on or before, that is the last day to issue invoice. Time of supply will be what, sir? In case of continuous supply of services, first you should check whether the invoice has been issued or within the due date or not. So time of supply will be same, section 13 subsection 2, forward charge only, it is taxable. So time of supply will be if invoice is issued within the due date, date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. If invoice is not issued within the due date, date of completion or date of payment, whichever is earlier. So determine the time of supply in the following cases if no due date for payment is agreed. So if the due date of payment is not known, time of the invoice is required to be issued on or before receipt of payment. So when is the payment received? On 30th of September. So the invoice is required to be issued on or before this date. When was the invoice issued? Commencement, completion. So invoice date is not given over here. Then the time of supply. Okay. So this question is not with respect to time of supply, it is with respect to time to issue invoice. So the time to issue invoice. So in first case, invoice is required to be issued on or before 30th March 24. If the payment is linked to completion, on or before completion, which is 31st January 2024, and if TNB has made payment on 25th March as per the contract between them, so in such cases the invoice is required to be issued on or before this particular date, that is 25th of March. So this is with respect to the time limit to issue the invoice. Examine the following independent cases of supply of goods and services and determine the time of supply. Shakti Enterprises, Kolkata, entered into a contract with Suraj Enterprises, Surat, for supply of goods on 30th October 2023. The goods were removed from the factory on 11th of October. As per the agreement, the goods were delivered on this date and Suraj received the goods on this date. What is the time of supply? They have not given any information with respect to date of payment. Date of removal they have given. They have not given any information in respect of. So this is order date, this is date of removal, this is date of delivery not relevant, order date not relevant, and the goods were received also not relevant. So in this case they have not given the information with respect to invoice. So in this case, sir, if the time limit to issue invoice they have asked again. So in this case invoice is required to be issued on or before. When should I issue an invoice? On or before removal, so which is 11th of October. Trust and Fund, an event management company, has provided its services to for an event at Kapoor Film Agencies on 15th of December. Payment was received on this date. So date of completion is this date. Invoice will be on or before 15th of December. You should issue the invoice, or within 30 days from this date. And what will be the time of supply, sir? If the invoice is issued within the due date, date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Not issued within the due date, then date of completion or date of payment, whichever is earlier. No and Grow Publications, a registered dealer in India, paid an advance of 50,000 to Mr. Ganatra, an author, for copyright covered under 13(1)(a) of Copyright Act 1957 for his original work on 5th of September. So this advance was given on which date, sir? Date of payment of this 50,000 is 5th of September. It made the balance payment on 12th of December. So date of payment for 1.5 lakhs is how much, sir? 12th of December. You are required to determine the time of supply if the invoice is issued on this date or on this date. So please note, this is a case of RCM. This is a case of revert charge mechanism. So in case services provided by an author to a publisher, a publisher has to pay the taxes under revert charge. What is the time of supply, sir? The time of supply in case of revert charge is what, sir? Date of making the payment or 61 days from the date of supplier invoice. So first case 61 days, if I should calculate 61 days in both the cases. First case it comes to 16th of October. So October month, how many days are left over, sir? 31 minus 6, which is 25 days of October, plus November full 30 days, plus 6th. So 6th of December or 6th of December. So time of supply will be what, sir? So for 50,000 the time of supply will be 5th of September, and for 1.5 lakhs the time of supply will be 6th of December. Okay, in first case for 50,000 rupees it will be 5th of September because you have received the money before, and for this balance 1.5 lakhs it is date of receipt of payment or date of last 61 days from the date of supplier invoice, whichever is earlier. So 61 days from date of supplier invoice is 6th of December, payment is received on 12th of December, whichever is earlier is 6th of December. And in the second case, sir, I think in second case the time of supply will be date of payment only, because the invoice is issued on 17th December. After that I should calculate 61 days. So here the payment is made before 5th of September and 12th of December will be taken as time of supply. And last question, this was asked in I think May 24 or November 21 examination. An order is placed to T and Company Solapur on 18th of August to supply fabrics. The company delivered the fabrics on 4th December after completion of order and issued an invoice on 5th of December. So here date of delivery will be taken as date of removal because nothing is given 4th of September, and date of issue of invoice is 15th of September. Payment was received on 30th of September. So is the invoice issued within the due date? No. So time of supply will be date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier, which is date of removal. Sorry, date of removal or date of payment, whichever is earlier, which is date of removal. HM Industries engaged the services of a transporter for road transport of consignment on 20th of May. However, the consignment could not be sent immediately on account of strike in the factory, and instead it was sent on 20th of July. The invoice, date of invoice was on 20th of June. So date of completion is on 20th of July, and the payment was made on 25th of August. So date of payment is on 25th of August. Now please note, they have taken services from a transporter. What is the time of supply? In case of transporter, assuming that it is a GTA, the time of supply RCM provision will apply. Sir, what if it is not a GTA? In this case, in your material, in your examination, they gave both the answers. So if it is taxable under reverse charge, what is your answer? And if it is taxable under forward charge, what is your answer? In examination, they will give that sheet, what is that called as? Key answers, answer key. So in that answer key, they have given both the answers. You can, how do you know? Check your suggested answers. You will find in your suggested answer, you will see that they have given both the answers. If it is taxable under reverse charge, if your answer is based on reverse charge, what is the time of supply? Sir, the time of supply. If your answer is based on reverse charge, the time of supply will be date of making the payment or 61 days from the date of supplier invoice. Date of payment is 25th of August and the supplier invoice is 20th of June. So it comes to, I think, 10 days of June, 31 days. It comes to 41 plus 20, 20th of August, whichever is earlier. Who is earlier, sir? 20th of August. And if it is taxable under forward charge, what will be your answer, sir? If it is taxable under forward charge, then date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier, because the invoice is issued within the due date. So in this case, the time of supply will be 20th of June or 25th of August. So time of supply will be 20th of June. But please note, if it is RCM, the tax will be paid by whom, sir? HM Industries. If it is not RCM, then the tax will be paid by whom, sir? It will be paid by the supplier, which is the transporter. Okay, so this completes our revision on this very beautiful topic called as time of supply. Nice questions, important for this examination. That is what I feel. So I hope you are enjoying. Tomorrow there will be no video uploaded. Next video will be uploaded on Monday. So let us meet in our next video. Till then, tada, bye bye, take care.